that works. So Zoom, you can see, has an API that basically connects to YouTube. And so we directly use that. Zoom, anytime we're on Zoom, we also have the live procedure here. Okay, so we are live on YouTube. This meeting is being live streamed. Everybody's been excited about that. Let me put in my captions here so we can see that Zoom has incorporated AI from voice to text.
Yeah.
And now it does that nice summary at the end that's been added. Tasks to do, you still have to edit, but it's incorporated those tasks. So any type of software that we're using from Microsoft, Windows to Microsoft apps. Some groups, for instance, in this class are going to be taking new versions of Excel, seeing how they've incorporated AI techniques, since now that's new as well. So basically, we're seeing that it's everywhere, right? Anytime, remotely. And how do we get a handle of it? And how can we use it? And how can my students at the end say, not only am I a user, but I can train it, I can have skills with this. That's what it's so, I'm so excited with you. And we're going to be able to do an exercises today where they'll take these exercises for homework exercises, and we can even think about it as an employee, and so I want to get a job, and we can have employers. And what we can do is, since we've divided up into groups, we can have each other, we can play role play those parts and actually use these AI. So I think we have most people coming into the class. And you can see that everybody was really excited that we're establishing an academic relationship with personal AI, and we are delighted to have Suman and Jonathan. Really, their C-suite coming in, and not only just, I said, I don't want just slides, right? How many times have we gone to presentations and at the end, you know what I really wanted was one more slide, right? We basically want to say, what do I do with it, right? I want to have a master class. And how lucky are we to have a master class coming in here to enjoy? So I'm going to, Suman, do you want to start and then introduce yourself, introduce Jonathan? These folks have been really so gracious to think about how we can use this in education, AI. I am just a big believer that we need to be really on the ground floor going up, and not to be afraid of new technologies. So take it away. In this case, I'll interject, if you don't mind, Suman and Jonathan, basically directing you to where I think it's going to be important for our students. I want them to get the most out of it. Okay, so you start, Suman, with introducing yourself, and Jonathan, and we're ready to go.
Cool. How is everybody? It's awesome. It's awesome to see all the faces. So thanks a lot for putting yourself on the video. I really appreciate it, because sometimes it gets lonely if you're just talking to a bunch of thumbnails. I'm Suman Kanaganti, and the co-founder and CEO of Personal AI. I really personally wanted to come in here. I spent around 26 years in the school. So I have 2 master's degrees. I have a master's degree in robotics. I also have a master's degree in business from Rady School of Management here in San Diego. Education always has been a fun thing. One of the stories that I tell is my parents always told me, you either study or you die, when I was a kid in India. So I studied a lot, but I also enjoyed it a lot. So thanks a lot for having me. Before this, I built a company called Aira, AIRA. That was also a AI company. It was AI plus AR, which is augmented reality for people who are blind and low vision. So today, all the airports in the country, all the brands from Starbucks to Disney, as well as big tech companies, Netflix, Amazon, they all provide Aira as reasonable accommodation for people who are blind. to, basically get the most out of their education as well as their experiences in life. Miami is one of our first IRA access cities. So pretty much Miami was the first mover to get IRA for people who are blind in the city. So which is pretty cool. It's actually everything is coming back. It sounds like Miami is always the first mover for my company. So it's pretty cool. So it's a little bit of my background. Today we are going to focus a lot on not only just understanding the AI but building AI. So we have a couple of like hands-on exercises. So we're going to have fun with it. I need your all your collaboration today. Just be open. We can learn together. So I will have Jonathan quickly introduce himself, and then we'll jump right in. But make it interactive, make it fun. Let's learn from each other. Okay, John.
Perfect.
Cool. And maybe Simon, maybe he said it, but he's the founder or one of the founders and the CEO of the company, which was founded about 4 years ago. And IRA's last company he sold to private equity back in 2018. My background is in M&A and finance. So I spent a few years on Wall Street. I was doing media and gaming deals and audio. So I sold a bunch of businesses to Netflix and Amazon, and if anyone plays games, Take-Two and Zynga. So I did all that good stuff, and then towards the end of 2022, started to pivot to AI because gaming and the content space dried up a little bit. Market was going south, and AI had kind of this groundswell. So joined as head of strategy, and yeah, I'm focused on basically the whole business and operations side of personal AI and supporting Suman and all that stuff.
Yeah, pretty cool. So we'll jump right in. If you had an opportunity to do the setup ahead of the time, that's fine. Otherwise, later on, we will have a few more minutes to kind of do the setup itself. If you do have iOS, there is a mobile app as well. But let's get the basics up straight, and then we'll move forward. So our goal today is to live with your baby AI. We will also go through a good number of like training techniques and prompting. Also understands a little bit of like macros around like what's happening within the AI space. So as a setup, I would want all of you to join and introduce yourself. This is a lounge. You can simply scan the QR code or go to that URL and join the lounge. If you do not have an account already, you can go ahead and sign up with your Google account or anything of that sort. And once you do are in the lounge, it's basically this class lounge. We will use why this introduction is important later on, because we will use this as your first memory later on in the presentation. So once you come in there, please take 2 minutes, actually type who you are, what your background is, and introduce yourself rather than simply saying hello. So I provided an example, and it will all come together, maybe like in 20 minutes or so, and why we are doing what we are doing. But if you don't mind, let's jump right into the exercise before the presentation stuff, which we can always talk about. So let's take 3 minutes for this exercise.
So right now, what you want them to do is to go to that URL of, and you've made a class of s-miami-class-1.personal.ai. And then you put in then, hi, I'm Suman, I'm the creator that aims to enhance. And in this part where you have it, I found it, is this basically interjected? Did AI come up with this itself?
Yes, so I wanted to provide an example,
generated?
but this is my AI generated. But please use your own background. Do not type in what I typed in.
Yes, but I know, but it's interesting that later on you can see that this was.
Yeah. I mean, there is always a hook, right? The intention is to have you guys walk away with your baby AI today, and then an exercise as well. So I'm gonna be watching everything, like people come in. If you do have LinkedIn profile or the bio from before, yeah, sure, you can use that. but specifically say, what your name is, what your background is in, because later on we'll be using your AI to actually do introduction. But for now, please take time. Anybody has issues, put it in the chat or let me know.
Suman, make sure the lounge is public. Should be.
Yeah. You can use these instructions, guys, and
Oh,
then
here,
put the launch
public.
on.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do it now, guys. Okay, cool. You should all be able to get in now.
Can you all see my chat in Zoom, or is it going to be like a webinar session?
No, we can see the chat. We can see your chat. Do you want me to display it, or you just want, since
No, I
it's
was
being
just
recorded?
curious.
Yeah, everybody has access to chat.
Cool.
And everybody can share the screen. What may be interesting is to see on your end, maybe to see what you're seeing as well, since we're recording it. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Understand what I mean, Suman? That since
Yeah.
this is being recorded, and if some people missed it or want to go back to it, they can actually see.
Yeah, so I'm sharing my lounge now.
Yeah.
Cool. So how many students do we have on the call?
We have, it looks like we have 35, 34, I guess 34, 33.
Okay, cool. Jonathan was nice and he went ahead and put his background as well in there. So we'll wait for 35 more to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've typed them, just go ahead and send it.
Yeah, see people coming in. You have 14 people in the lounge right now. Whenever I do this, I usually watch it on my mobile phone.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you can explain this, Suman. So your personal AI platform allows you then to set up groups and lounges.
That's right. So what's happening right now is we created this lounge, and by virtue of having a common space for us all to collaborate in. Later on, you can use this introduction to add to your memory, and then we'll use the same lounge to use your AI to actually draft your own introduction. So I thought it would be a fun way to, begin with an exercise and actually, get your memories going.
Mm-hmm. And you can see from here how many are in the lounge. I see under, you have my lounges, and then you have your Miami dash class one. That's what that's focusing in right now. Okay.
Right. After once you have an account, you can either scan or go to the URL. Looks like John put in the chat.
Did you see Aiden said it's unable to fetch? What does Aiden say? It's unable to fetch domain information. What do you mean by that, Aiden? You can unmic yourself, Aiden.
That's just what it's telling me.
Okay, are you in Chrome?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to verify.
You made an account, you logged in?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me add you. Can you just type your email in the Zoom chat? No, I'll invite you. Thank you. All right.
Hello, Ryan. Hey, Andrew. Ryan, that's a really good one. So you're going to have some fun with your AI later on.
Thank you.
Andrew, I think your introduction is fine. It will work with, a sentence. But if you do want your AI to generate your introduction later on, you may want to add some color to it.
So the more you add, the more memory you're training it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you want to give it what you call the memories, right? You'll go into that.
Yes, I will go into that. We'll go into all the fun stuff. If we get this behind us, then everything else will be smooth.
Right. So, one of the things we can kind of think about, Suman, is the next time we do it is have the students already have prepared a background, giving a couple of a list maybe before what they need to prepare to come to the class beforehand.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
You know what I mean? Of giving, here are prerequisites for what we need before we start. So then we can go through this. We can have your, one paragraph with your background, your hobbies. What are you interested? What are your interests? Your education?
Yep, that is a really good idea. We're gonna do that.
I mean? So you can use it again. That's why it's nice for us to have this. I almost see it as a practice session for us, that we can have this, and then everybody just can copy and paste, and they can have that already there.
Yep.
Because getting in was not, and then we need to know, of course, that needs to be the difference, that we can have then our lounges, we can have it private, or we can make it public. So beforehand, even you don't have to, you can send out invitations, but if you just wanted public, it's just easier for everybody to come in.
Yep. For the next class, I can go ahead and put those instructions actually.
Yeah, right. And I can even, we can even have that prepared.
Yeah. We'll take another minute.
Just take a minute, and even if everyone doesn't have it, because then we can, we want to at least get this through, and then later on they can, this lounge will always be open then?
Correct. Yep, this is, I own this lounge, and
okay, because Franco, right, you see these chats then, Jonathan? I don't know why a number of them were getting problems being added. I guess maybe they didn't register, or the registration. You see, so a number of students were trying to get into the lounge.
They're all being added.
Yeah.
Are you guys in? Franco, Adam, Spencer, are you guys in now?
So so for the next class, Suman, what do you want them to have? It's a paragraph prepared of a description. You think that would be good? And I can even have Dylan send that out.
You're on mute, Simon.
Suman, you're mute.
Yeah, so I will send you that, Sarah. No
Yeah,
worries
just
at all.
send it to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it
great.
looks like most
Right.
people are coming in. There may be like backed up people coming in, but let's just proceed at this time.
Okay.
For those people who are just coming in like right now, just go ahead and add your background, and later on we will have 5 more minutes to do that.
Okay.
So thanks a lot for joining the lounge, and we can use that in the future for collaborations as well. My goal was to use this as the first memory, and later on we can use our own AI to generate it. I want to give a little bit of introduction on the AI itself. So this is the chance where to understand the macro sense of what the hell is happening out there within the AI space, and we as students, what we may want to do, right? So do we need AIs is the first question, and I think most of the people would fight for it. And I think
Suman, did you have slides here that you want to share? Because we're looking at now the lounge.
Can you see it or no?
No, I just see your University of Miami. I just see your lounge now. I don't see your slides.
Mm,
I'm in your lounge, Yeah, this is, you can,
okay,
Yes,
sorry.
I see it.
So very shy.
it happens to all of us. And my students, many times I go off on a tangent and they don't say
Okay.
anything.
So the
Slide.
way I would think about it is, we had the first television, we had the first computers, and before the personal computers came around, we had our mainframes as well. So I was old enough to go into the mainframe and use a shared computer until like personal computers came into our rooms. And then of course, the idea of the smartphones came along. And if you think about what has been happening, I think we as human beings, like we've been communicating using the digital presence more and more, not just from human to human, but also like human to businesses. So what I would think about is like past decade or 2 decades, when I was in the professional career, we had a lot of Internet 2.0 with point and click interactions. Like, we use our mouse, we use our keyboards. And what's going to happen in the next decade is Internet 3.0, right? Which is mostly AI will be dominating these conversations, not just like from a recommendation systems of Amazon or Google's, as much as our interactions with the businesses, our interactions with humans will be some form and shape will be augmented by AI. So do we need AIs? Absolutely, because I think that's probably the next medium that's gonna be evolving. So the way to think about it is, we used our phones to communicate, we used our emails to communicate. Now we have our computers to communicate. And then later on, now we have our apps for social media, as well as communicating with our banks and students and whatnot, right? So the key aspect is we will all be having our own individual AIs as well. So that will be surrounded by us. We are kind of used to the devices as assets right now, and maybe our social media accounts, but then imagine an AI of yourself, which will understand who you are as a person and represents who you are in the internet space, right? That is the identity that we are creating. So AI will definitely be the next medium. So if you are still thinking, should I start learning about AI or not, I would highly encourage to do so, because there's tons of investment going on in the macro space around big tech companies investing in the AI, small businesses investing in the AI. Pretty much industries are looking at, AI as a potential efficiency creator, like, within their businesses as well. Now, what AI can do, what AI cannot do. I came to know that we don't have like much of technical background, but if we had to simply think about AI can have this human-like conversations, right? We got into a point where we have AI can actually do this human-like conversation. It can predict an answer. It can predict a response. It can generate ideas. It can be reasoning, and it can also predict behavior based on the past circumstances. Some of this technology was locked into the big tech platforms that they've been using for targeted ads as well as personalized recommendations. But now it is getting to a point where each and every one of us has access to it. What AI cannot do for you, it cannot decide for you. It cannot perform complex mathematics as of yet. There are some finance related specific AI's model that is being in progress, but as of like right now, there isn't a model that does like super complex math. Now, Sarah was mentioning earlier, different kinds of AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT, pretty much like all the buzzwords. Personal AI is also a buzzword these days, right? So the way to think about like AI systems at the basic level, right? We don't have to be technical enough, but at the basic level, right? Every AI model has the data. Now, the data, it's less about the amount of data. It's more about the corpus of the data that you may want to think about, right? So there is internet of data, there is organization of data. So Miami, for example, could be an organization, domain specific data such as healthcare, such as finance, such as marketing, or it could be a specific topic. So the topic could be, I care about diversity, I care about inclusion. So that could be a specific amounts of data. And then a person. So person is a data corpus that is specific to one's knowledge, one's facts, one's opinion, right? Then you have this model. The model could be divided into language model, audio model, or visual model. But for our class today, we will be focusing more on the language models. Most models out there that we interact with, they obviously have some version of API, which will allow you to do inputs and outputs. But I understand we are not developers, but technically that's the interface for building your applications. If you have tried ChatGPT or OpenAI, you probably have used their application, which is chat.openai.com, that is likely built on top of their API, that is likely built on their pre-trained model that is using the internet of data, right? And ultimately, this concept of agents, right? Agents is also one of these buzzwords that happens. Think about agents as bots or assistants or things that are doing, are taking an action on your behalf or on somebody else's behalf. So that's the like overarching view of AI system to understand. Now you can apply that to OpenAI. So this is OpenAI. What they have done, they have like these pre-trained models and agents and plugins are available. HeyPi is another pre-trained model that exists out there. Their focus is more around empathy conversations, loneliness and things of that nature.
Yeah. Can I just interrupt a second,
Yeah.
Suman? Our students are going to be doing projects. And for instance, some of their projects, they're looking at mental health for university students and how the problem is there's not enough therapists around and counselors enough. And one of the things that they were looking at, can that be a help or an assistant or a co-pilot, as we say, to something like HeyPi or other ones. And they're going to be investigating those. So that's interesting where yours fit in too. I wanted to give you a background of what our class is doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So now where personal AI will come into play is, majority of the systems that we talked about, OpenAI and Inflection AI, they are pre-trained models, right? They use their existing data from the internet, scrape the social media, scrape any conversations, and then create a pre-trained model for consumers or for people to interact. Where we come into play is our goal is for individual people to create their own models based on private and knowledge data that may be specific to a person or specific to a domain that may not be in the public, right? It may not be accessible to the big tech. So that's kind of where we come in. So, but the infrastructure or the architecture is essentially the same. We collect these personal data and conversations that is in the hands of people. You basically create this personal language model, which is also automated. Every model gets input output. So think about, in a layman, like technical terms, you probably heard the IP address, right? Like a device or a computer. Think about this as you have an IP address to yourself, right? Everything that goes out, everything that comes in has an IP address to you. And applications which we are already interacting with. And there are some agents as well where you can take your AI and have people communicate with your text with your AI. So the things to keep in mind, and you're all like super young right now, and what's going to happen with your data, you probably have multiple different presence in multiple different social media, which is all fantastic. They are good consumer utilities. but it's also a time where you can leverage your social media presence that you had from before and create your own AI model, right? Because then you can bring in all the data from multiple different social medias into like one model that represents who you are. It's very interoperable. Some of the issues that exist out there with the AI applications is the attribution. So attribution as in, ChatGPT, you could technically write a specific, content piece or a script based on a famous person, right? But the famous person necessarily did not give permission to be able to do that. So there are some copyright problems and attribution problems that exist out there in the industry. Also, one of the reasons why, why we have chosen what we did, which is, the data is in your control. So I think that's like one of the, important aspect. So to summarize whatever is happening in the industry and where we come into play, LLMs, which is large language models, they call it, is they're usually pre-trained with public data. It's mostly what powers the big tech. Any Facebook, any Google, any AIs that you really see most of the time, most out there are these pre-trained models. With personal AI, we kind of take a different approach where it's you who are going to be training your own model, and you would own it. So I think there is a untapped market. It's almost like personal computer, right? On the left hand side, it's the mainframe, right? On the right hand side is your personal computer. That's the way to think about it. It's probably. So we talked about memory.
When you're saying, let me just interrupt here. If you go back to that past slide, if we look at this, my large language model, where let's say it's owned by OpenAI or Google, it's the same thing when I even use Google and I search. And, you see in commercials, for instance, what are they calling it? Something with the duck or something like that they're spying on me type of thing. So is this kind of equivalent to that large language model versus my personal language model?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely think about large language model as everything that is accessible out there on the internet that you can potentially search, right?
Okay.
But
and your PLM, or I guess your personal language model, then doesn't search through the internet?
No, it does not. So basically, it goes to your personal language model to begin with. If your personal language model does not have any specific opinions about a particular topic, for example, your background, then it tries to fetch from the public internet, right? So for personal language model, it's almost like, I don't know the answer, so let me look it up, and then you can form your own opinion.
Okay, but for instance, if for your own personal language model, Suman, since you've done a lot of things in the past, it's not going to go out to the internet and see all the other companies that you've created before, or your education. You have to train it with your own material.
Yeah, so the things that are important to me that are available publicly already, I could use it to put it in my personal language model. But basically, internet does not have everything about, what I know, right, personally.
Right, of course. But it has some things, but it really does, or it doesn't prioritize.
Correct.
What you have, or what's important to you now.
Yeah, priority is
a good to promote now.
Yeah. The most interesting thing is, especially for younger students, right?
Yes.
There may not be enough information out there in the internet already, right? But over a period of time, you could, and this is also a chance to kind of take control of that data and create something of your own. Yeah.
Okay.
So we talked about memory, we talked about the models. By the way, these are like, super efficient models as well. Everybody gets their own model. Like, let's just say if Isabel has her memory, Lizzie has her memory, none of these memories are shared. So that's one of the other differences between, big tech models, pre-trained models from these models. Every memory is unique by themselves. Once you do have your model, you can take it to other places as well, such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook Messenger, etc., etc. So all those chats that you may have to deal with, if you are like super famous influencer, well, you can have your personal AI kind of take majority of those things if it revolves around, your likeness and your preferences.
You give it permission.
Of course, everything happens with your control. So the way to think about it is it's a digital version of you, pretty much like a second you. Right now, majority of the use cases revolves around representing who you are as a person. So it can represent any communications. So this is the communication would be your team, your colleagues, your job interviews, for example, some other businesses as well, human to human. So if friends and family also incorporated. But the most beautiful part is your AI is almost like drafting these responses on your behalf because it knows you, and then you can simply swipe right to send it, right? So I think that's kind of.
Let me just interrupt. So I can create. So for instance, my family knows me different than my students know me different versus my colleagues know me different. So I could have like a professor persona, family member persona, and maybe I'm a mentor, or maybe in terms of that, a mentor persona and a university professor colleague persona. Is that a fair case?
That's absolutely correct. For today, we are going to focus more on this interview use case. And
I like it. A stand-in for interviews. Let my AI stand in for interviews for your journals, recruiters, job seekers. That's an interesting.
And it's a perfect use case. And believe it or not, it happens more often than not. Which is media does interview my AI these days instead of interviewing me. I do have my voice as well, which I will show you later on, but the entire podcast can typically happen just people talking to my AI. And then I can prioritize, my time to talk to, 50 students in a classroom like this. Okay, so my AI trains with the long term. So there is a training involved. One of the big differences is, you got to train your AI, like your model. And, obviously you will start with the purpose of what that model is. And I'm like really curious to see, by the end of this class, over the next 3 to 4 weeks, what models each of you could potentially create that could even be, build businesses as well. So there are people who are building businesses on top of specific models because it may have specific experience and knowledge to, for people to subscribe and have these communications with the AI. So yeah, training, there is obviously like working with the testing, especially for like non-technical people where you're not like, getting the open source model and then trying to train. It's essentially a platform where you can create your own model. I don't know how many people have played with ChatGPT in here, but think of these natural interactions that you may have with people around you. If you do have a, admin or assistant or somebody is helping, hey, look, this is what I want to respond, but I want to reply it positively. I have this idea, but I want to make it this like more epic style, right? Those are all the things that you could possibly imagine like using with your personal AI as well, but everything revolves around your particular knowledge. So here are like few examples of my own AI. So for this class, what I thought was to do an interview use case, where you can have like these automated conversations. So the first exercise is more about you all interviewing me, which is like my AI, pretty much any things that you may want to ask me or talk to me or discuss, right? Because after that 5 minutes, the second goal would be to train yours. So that way me and Jonathan can interview you via your own AI to understand who you are as an individual person and what are your skills and knowledge and everything else, and potentially even hire you as well, right? So we will come back to goal 2, which will be training your background, training your goals. But for goal 1, to just understand the potential of it, how you can imagine the experience should be, I'm opening up my AI wide open. So if you're already on the desktop on the computers, you can go to s.personal.ai and chat with me on any of these anchor topics that I put on the screen. It doesn't have to be just that. You can ask me anything. And watch out for the personal scores, right? If the personal scores are less than, let's just say 45 or 40, that means I do not have memory associated, with my AI to be able to answer your question. So if you ask me about biochemistry, guys, I have no clue about biochemistry. I can probably talk a little bit about my fintech companies and maybe finance, I think, if there is in the memory, but take 5 minutes, play with it. And hopefully by this time, everybody join the lounge. And
Do you
thanks
want
a
to
lot.
share your lounge so we can see what it's, can you view what they're viewing, what they're asking?
Yes, absolutely. I can do
So
that.
that'll be interesting as it proceeds. Then you or
Yeah.
Jonathan can talk about it.
Right. So I will start sharing the screen, but if you are already in the app, oh, by the way, you will also find me in Discover tab, Suman Kanaganti. So that's also an easy way to add me as a friend and talk to me about anything. And I will share, yes, my view as well.
Yeah, and share your view as well. By the way, it'd be interesting, just as a point here, Jonathan, Suman, is some of these questions we can ask ahead of time. We almost can make a sheet, and then they can cut and paste for some of these questions to make that as well. So because some of them are kind of stuck, what I'm going to ask them or about myself, kind of almost like a pre-sheet before you come into this discussion, have these in a Word document or something, have these available so you can just cut and paste.
Yeah. Right now, ask anything.
But right now you can ask anything to Suman.
Ask for his bank account information.
Ask him if he will contribute to our class to go out after their presentations for party time, right?
When you do this, you can think about, we have some influencer type people with between, I don't know, 1 in 5 million followers who have big public personalities like thought leaders and all this stuff. And they have these personas answering their DMs, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost my assistant. Yeah, there are a lot of I have a number of friends and colleagues. That's what they do. They hire assistants to answer, to basically be on my social media. This way it's a co-pilot of that you can get it.
I can tell, everybody is business minds, because I see a lot of who is your target market questions coming in. Yeah, right. Pretty cool.
Right. What is your revenue model, right? Kind of on.
Sure. Come on, Jonathan, stop it. Jonathan is trying.
So you want to share something?
Yeah, here? Yeah. I'm getting that. I just joined from my mobile phone.
No, but I think it'd be interesting, and since it's a recording, we'll have others that possibly were not able to make it. So.
Come on.
And I think that'll be good too, is that we can have even maybe another session at one time where we can
sorry, Isabella. Yeah. I will.
Okay. So now, right, you can see these are my finance people. How much money have you made? What are your plans for exiting, right? All right, they're basically looking at the finance questions. Okay, and who's responding is your AI.
My hands are in front
your
of you.
hand. Show your hands. That'll be good, Suman. Nothing up my sleeve. It's like the magician, right? Lift your sleeve so you can see it. Right, it's interesting.
I mean, when it comes down to knowledge sharing, just generally sharing who you are as a person, I mean, there is no other better way.
But it's an interesting idea. Yeah.
So it's 1:20. We will stop this exercise at 1:22, let's just say.
Yeah.
Then we'll get to
but it's interesting to see. And then and where's your score? You were saying about your score. Where do we see that? When you were saying,
I see. Okay.
Because I think that's important. That's what's unique about your product too, is when you look at any of the other AI systems, I've never seen that score come up.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So lifestyle brands is basically where our focus is right now, because for these people, their own brands is their currency, right? I mean, their own knowledge and expertise is their currency, and we want to augment that and scale it, because right now pretty much every other pre-trained model is more about like suck your data in, but what is the value to the people, right? So
It's
yeah,
cool because these like small brand, like Ashton Kutcher, his staff is 5 people. We know them all well, and they have like a huge brand built around him. So they have demands that they cannot meet without automation. And so think about all the people like him.
So that 61% personal means it's pretty on target, right?
So the range is from 0 to 1. Your goal is to
it never goes to
get the better?
100. Yeah, it never goes to 100. I think the maximum scores I have seen is like 70 plus. And we are trying to like update that weighted algorithm to a little bit more, getting to like 80, 90 plus, because it's a combination of my knowledge plus like language as well, right? So this one is 56% personal. What programming language do you use? Yeah, it's mostly Python based. Front end is mostly JavaScript. So that's 56% personal. So that's what trustworthy. Anything like, I'm looking for an example where it's less than 40. Oh, wait, Dylan, I spoke with you before.
Yeah, that was referring to like with the partnership for this. But
Oh,
Dr.
I see. Okay,
already
got it.
contacted you.
Oh, well, yeah, you already spoke to my AI before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool.
See, Dr. Russian, right? So funny, huh?
Oh, well, cool. It's always so much fun for me to kind of watch these things, because people has like different creative ways.
We had 2 events in Manhattan last week, and I think we had, was it like 300 conversations going on at once with Suman? It's like,
yeah,
like
cool.
be everywhere, huh? Yeah.
Totally. So I'm gonna stop this.
Yeah.
Hopefully that was helpful, and the intention is each of you could get there as well with your own AIs, and now apply that with yourself, for people around you, for your social accounts, for content, for knowledge, for businesses, like you name it, right? So that's the experience that you can also create. And by the way, like as of right now, this is like 5 minutes exercise. I processed 91 different text messages and conversations from this group, and on average in a full day, we only do 40 text messages on average replying, right? So that is the amount of scale that I just got, like double it within a period of like 5 minutes or so. So let's go back into the presentation, because now it's more about your AI. No, this is not what I want to share. Yes.
Okay.
You can see it, yeah. Okay. So this goal.
So this picture is supposed to be you. This has been generated.
It's many AI generated avatar. So
okay.
It's 50% there, but my people like it, so I am using it.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Right. Okay.
So now we will go through just this goal of like adding the memory itself, which we started off with in the launch. But the intention is to educate your AI or train your AI on your background, on yourself, what your goals are, what your next job is, what projects have you worked on, what strategy, like, all the things that you could possibly imagine for preparing for an interview, right? You could think about training your AI on that, not only just for your own practice, but in the future, that could be your mechanisms, like, hey, talk to my AI first and let's assess the fit. Well, that likely is going to get you a job anyway, because of the forward thinking of it. So what we will do is the following, right? I will call this use case, interviews use case, like personalized interviews. And everybody has their account. You can go up to like 100 memories. I will tell you what is a memory in a second. And the goal would be to add more and more memories to basically to address these 3 different prompts, right? Some of the best practices you may want to know. When you add this information, you can add some hashtags. Majority of the hashtags and anchors are already generated, but for the memory itself, for it to be like rock solid, if your memory does not have any specific anchors, you can choose to enter this, like such as career or goals or skills or food or hobbies. It's not necessary, but it helps the model to be a little bit more better. So for the first memory, remember we we have this launch, and I will show you what to do. Think about any message within the personal AI system you can add as a memory, right? If somebody asks you, hey, what is your plans for Thanksgiving? You can say my Thanksgiving plans for 2023 are so and so. And next time somebody asks, like, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Your AI should know. So you can think about like any message that you communicate with anywhere within the personal AI ecosystem, you can add that as a memory. For example, right now, within your My AI system, you can essentially go to a personal persona, and then you can add a message and add that to the memory. So there is a plus button after every message for you to add to the memory, right? You can do that on mobile phone as well, where if you are communicating with somebody, you are entering some information. By simply swiping right on a message, it will be added to the memory. We talked about personal scores. Anything like north of 45 to 50, I would say, is mostly personal, that is accurate to you, that is factual to you. Anything like less than 30 is coming from a general public information. That means you may have to fix it. Right? So what I would want you guys to do is in the lounge where you already entered information about your backgrounds, for each of you on your side, you will see the plus button on your message, right? And there is a plus button. Go ahead and add that to the memory. And I'm sharing my screen now.
Yeah, perfect. So you can see. Now, everyone in this lounge can see what others are, since it's public, can see what others are putting in.
Correct.
So
this is it's a group chat.
So this is basically a group chat, which is nice when you're having a group together and expanding it. Right. But you can basically see what others, and you can help each other then in that case, I guess. Yep. Like this could be like teams, sales teams. Do you see it in do you see something like that? I was just at speaking on a conference. They called it MSPs. Basically, I don't know what they're going. Their whole big thing was training for the sales team, getting people motivated, getting people to know how to sell.
Awesome. Does everybody see the plus, little plus sign next to the message you sent?
Put in the chat if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't, let me know. But you should. And so, yeah, just to recap that, anytime you send something, when you hit that little plus sign next to it, it basically adds that to your model's memory, which is infinite, like it's unlimited. So anything you upload, anything you type, anything that you want your model to remember forever, you simply click that plus button.
Okay. So we did that first step. I'm assuming everybody good? Everybody just give me a thumbs up because I can see your faces. Thumbs up. Okay. Good. Majority of them. Now, here's the fun part. We'll skip step 2, but this is what I want you guys to do. So you can go into the message bar and say, introduce yourself and your background, right? You may have to anchor a little bit about, but most of them has names in there. So I think it should be pretty good. And now when you do introduce yourself and your background and click on this instruction button on the right side and draft with my AI, right? Because technically when you did that first memory, when you added that to the first memory, there's a tiny model that was created on your behalf, right? So that means it knows about you something. I mean, it's a very little information, but it knows about you something. So type in introduce yourself and your background, and then click draft with my AI and see if it picks up your background. If it does pick up, go ahead and send it. So we'll see who will be the first person to use their AI to do that introduction.
Excuse me, do I have to be on my laptop? Because I'm on my phone, like I don't have the plus button option for it.
Oh,
Swipe right.
on your phone, you simply swipe right.
So I typed, oh, okay.
Yeah, it should say something like stack or add it to the memory, one of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between your iOS model and the laptop?
It's the same model.
It's the
different
same model,
interface.
so it doesn't matter whether they use one or they'll
No.
get any better
No, it's the same thing.
computation. So, which is nice. So when they're on the go,
Mhm.
when they want to keep on adding training.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, at least I use my AI to reply to like 75% of the stuff that I get in my email.
If we don't have
Oh,
the draft AI button, would it be that
you
we
don't have
are
the
on
draft with my AI in lounges? Really? Anybody else see that? Or is it just Andrew?
Dylan, did you get it?
Looks like some messages are coming in that is AI drafted.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just getting I'm just getting a little like paper airplane send message. I don't get the option with those three things.
Did you start typing in?
I
Once you
did,
start
yeah.
Okay. Can you put in the chat your account? I can have somebody really quickly look at it.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think I did. Yeah, I got it. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's see. Wow. Lizzie. Who is Lizzie?
Lizzie, you want to unmic yourself?
I'm trying to find them. So Liz is pretty good. I think there's like a lot of good ones in here. So cool. Does everybody understands the basic?
Yeah.
Yes, no. Because now it's more about exploiting the basics. We're gonna multiply.
Kate, how are you doing? Are you there? Kate has a thumbs up, so.
Cool.
So do you want to summarize, Suman, what did they, this is the very beginning of training. You want to just summarize for us what they did?
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to do. So basically what just happened was we did that initial introduction thing as a natural introduction to our group itself in a lounge. We added that to the memory. That means you now have your model. That means you can already start using your model for drafting your responses in chats and in lounges, right? That's the basic one.
Okay.
The most interesting thing is so far we haven't touched my AI. So people may ask like, what the hell is my AI, right? The intention is to make this training process almost like very natural on a day-to-day basis in your group studies, in your classes, in your private chats, where you can, keep adding your AI. but you may not prefer that. You may want to sit down and explicitly train your AI, right? So when you're explicitly train your AI, the concept is exactly the same. So you would enter the message and you would add that to the memory. So before I came into this class, I added this memory, like link to Miami class presentation, because usually people ask me, hey, where is the link to presentation? Well, I added that in what do you call it, to my AI. And this is the lounge that I created, right? In this lounge, this is my lounge. And so far, my AI replies are turned off. So I'll go ahead and turn that on. And then I will set the personal score threshold at 40% because I don't want to give you guys something that is not authentic. So now when you actually send me the question about, hey, what is the presentation link for Miami in this particular lounge, it will actually send you the link, right? So I don't have to like manually respond. Okay, there we go. I will set the threshold score at like around like 44. That's kind of where I feel comfortable. So technically, if it is not authentic to me, then it doesn't, really pick up. I'll remove that. Cool. So these are the personas that Dr. Sarah was referring to: business partner, chief of staff, contrarian. So depending on, like, if you have a model and a purpose for, I don't know, finance consultant, we have Tella. Tella is a finance consultant and she trained her AI and dropped her AI in the community. You can do that. Or if you want to train on, basically interviews that we talked about, yes, you can do that. You can create like any other different, TikTok personality or family personality or friends. I don't know, like, you can create like many different personas and add the specific memories into each of them. You can talk to each of them as well. When you are inside sub persona, it will constrain the conversation to just the persona. But when I'm in my primary AI, it's almost like a super AI of all your personas, right? So it knows everything all. So make sure when you are sharing this, you trust that person and you set nice controls and everything. I would encourage, depending on the purpose, create a persona, train that, and then share it with people. So I think now, we understand the basics, we understand my AI, we understand the chats. You already see that. These are all the AIs right now, right? People are training it. And it's me plus my AI within the chat. So let's just close everything by talking through the exercise itself. So we went through the exercise. Now you know how to add the memory. For adding the memory, you can also upload the files and links too. So it's up to you. But my goal was to cover like the basics and how the memory and the conversation, the prompts and the instructions will work. So now you have it. So good examples for getting to that goal that we talked about, which is us interviewing you. Like, consider it, like a real use case, and you can pair up like who is the recruiter and who is the job seeker. This could be things such as like, where did you grow up? Provide examples of, oh, that's interesting. I did not actually plan for I grew up in Miami, but it turned out to be pretty much.
That's what I mean. I saw that. I saw that AI. It said, I grew up in Miami too.
So one of the key things, the key tip is always make the information first person, such as like I grew up and my. And if you're not getting relevant responses, change the identity of your AI to your name, so that way it will actually represent you. So when you're taking like LinkedIn professional background, for example, and say, Lily went to so-and-so university, then it can actually make that association to who you are representing. So either first person or use the explicit names, so that way it understands like, what the identity of your AI is. Describe your typical days, professions. These are all like some examples of what you can actually train on. And once it is added to the memory, it's remembered forever, right? This is your model. You don't have to tell the same thing to multiple people, 100 times. Backgrounds, where did you grow up, where did you go to school, your jobs and your roles. Like, think about like resume building, but it can make it like a little bit more authentic, not just like a list of things, but actually your projects, your style, it will adapt to everything that you can potentially think of. like your preferences on like, oh, I want travel, in my job. Well, say that so, right? So that way at least you are communicating that, clearly. Share your interests, because people do tend to ask your interests in the interviews. Reveal your communication style. Are you wordy? Are you less wordy? Are you concise and direct? I tend to, I guess, offend people, whatever it is. One of the tips that you can think of is, now you have this AI, right? And you have this LLM access as well, which is, if you don't have memory, then it will go to the public AI. You can ask AI to generate interview questions for yourself and use those interview questions and ask your AI and see if it can respond like you or not, right? That's a good tip. And by the way, it can be interview questions just about any topic. It can be finance, it can be marketing, it can be technology, it can be Python, right? And then use that as a guiding, indicator to kind of train and add memories. So that's the goal. The goal in 4 weeks is we will come. You are already friends with me because you're I already friended you, and then we can use that to learn more about you. And it doesn't have to be just us. You can also share it in the future for other people. It's like, talk to my AI, guys. Like, that will be the first step. And scale yourself.
Great. So we'll do this as a project, as a homework assignment, and you foresee them working in their group. Each person will create their own personal AI persona for an interview. Is that correct? And
yes.
then the other team members will be the interviewers, and then they'll be the interviewee, and they'll try to keep on improving it. So in this case, how long do you think they should work on this?
Oh, I mean, just for the scope of the interview, it wouldn't take more than an hour or two. I would imagine, but if you want to get creative, if you want to do some, build something off of it, please feel free.
So they could, if they wanted to create, because they had an idea ready to do their project and they're just beginning their group projects, is they could focus it around this product as well, or around this area of personal AIs, or maybe how to use
I mean, the most
AI
impressive would be
tests.
the most impressive thing,
Yeah.
it will be interesting to see, like, who pulls it off is you can actually train a model and sell it, like put a subscription behind it. If you subscribe, then you'll gain access to this AI because they will learn something from it.
Yeah.
Make money.
Some people train it, add their voice, put it on SMS.
And you have that. So what will we get? Because our time is running short. What they're going to be upgraded when?
Jonathan will follow through. Pretty much everybody will have I believe, premium subscriptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means you will have unlimited memory. You will have 2 personas. You will have API access. And if you build it, you are monetizing it. Well, amazing, right?
Well, we're not going to monetizing yet. You know what I mean? But before we go to monetizing, but I just want to make sure that they have this available to them. And
yeah, totally.
So what are we going to say? The next day, by Monday, what time frame where they can start working? Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I think take probably 2 weeks. Like, you'll meet in 2 weeks on Wednesday, and you could just chat.
I mean, when will you upgrade them to premium?
Oh, like today, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna think in 2 weeks. I'm gonna say, it's the end of
one a day, one upgrade a day.
It's like you're like the government.
Well, then we don't get it.
Okay, so basically, are we then going to arrange? And we can talk offline. Is maybe when you want to come back again, if you'd like to, and maybe we can see what they've done And what I was thinking for the class, just wanted to tell you, you can do this. And when you're finished or during, you could maybe even do a screencast. Everybody, right? You can use Loom, or you can use any of our other screen recordings, or even Zoom, right? And even record how you are basically working with your group, with the interviewer and the interviewee, or you can even record how you are training the model. It would be interesting. And I could see this as combining this with your group project. Do you understand that, Dylan? That this could be in combination with adding to your group project. It's having it, those of you that want it as a separate assignment, but I could see it as an additional, just adding this as their, one section of their group project is that personal AI, and see how they can even fit it in, as interviewing skills, something.
Yeah, and we have that lounge. So any questions, please feel free to drop in there. Now you are directly connected with me. That's my primary communication channel anyway. So if you have questions,
should they direct the question by going into the Miami class?
yes, I mean that will be our lounge now.
Right, perfect. It'll be our lounge.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to keep you guys any longer. These folks are also, can you imagine, they're coming to the second class that's right after this. And let me show you, if you stop sharing, Suman, and I just wanted a show of hands, really. Thank you so much. We are just so happy that you shared with us, really, what you're doing. Later on, it'd be interesting to find out how we can actually help you, of this group, almost being your assistants, in with your directions, and then later on, I could see it as almost as being ambassadors. And since you can see our students are very business oriented, they're thinking, and they're young in the way they're thinking, how can I use it, or how can my social group use it? They can come up with some creative ways with you.
I mean, the one thing I will say is don't use it, build it, right? I mean, the whole goal is to build it. Think about it as a programming language or learning or whatever, right? It's learning skill, and it's time to kind of build on top of it. Don't be just a user anymore.
Yeah. That's interesting. Create.
Yep.
Be a creator. Okay. So I'll anything else? I put on what's due section on Monday, just for you. We're going to have the Wix representative come in to talk about what they're giving us. I put her presentation in the what's due section, so you can look that over. You can play around with that as well. And also the assignment for Monday. Anything else? So we had everybody in the class, so we'll meet then on Monday. We'll reach out, and I may send you also a little note that maybe Friday I'll set up some time if some of you want to meet with me and ask me about your projects. I'll set up a time and send you out an email where another link where I'll be available. And thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Suman. And we're playing it. You see this, and we're used to it. It's like we're going with the punches, right? We're trying this out for the first time. And each time we can get feedback from the students too on how we can improve this.
Yeah, can't wait to see.
Just like the beginning of a relationship, right? It's how we can go on to it. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks,
Thanks,
we'll see you. Thank you. Thank you, class, for participating.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Do we have attendance?
Stay with me if you have additional questions. What?
Do we have attendance or no?
No, I'm not going to do attendance today.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think, Andrew, this was the first class where we had everybody here. So, and also we really have attendance almost by our lounge.
Yeah. All right.
And you're feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I had to end up coming to school anyway, so I'm just tough it
Okay,
out.
okay. So anytime, whatever you reach out
Yeah.
to me, anytime,
Yep.
there's no problem. Just let me know, and
Yeah.
that's
Thank
our,
you for
our
that.
beauty.
Thank you for that consideration. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
always, always. Why not?
All right.
Okay.
Have a great rest
Take
of your
care.
day.
Bye.
Bye.